And right now, we are 2 minutes away from the end of the trading day. Romaine Bostick alongside Katie Greifeld, taking you through to that closing bell with a global simulcast. We're joined now by Massar and Tim Stenovec. Welcome to our audiences across all of our Bloomberg platforms, television, radio, and our partnership with YouTube on what could potentially be another record-setting day.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah. Massar,
did you see Carol's back?
For a while. I know. I saw her like walking around at the newsroom earlier. It was like seeing the Yeti or something. You've been, where were you, like hiking through the Appalachian Trail or something for the last 2 weeks?
Her badge still works to get in the building, which is a good sign.
Listen, it was a real break. I was actually out in Portland, Oregon, and I was officiating at my niece's wedding.
I thought you were on a retreat.
So if anybody needs to get married.
Wait a minute. Are you, I didn't realize that. Are you like a priestess or something?
Yes, something like that. I like to be just, goddess or queen. That works for me.
Right.
So we've talked about this rally that the S&P 500 is up, what, Katie, more than 20%, roughly, from those end of March lows.
Right.
Bitcoin is flat.
What's up with that?
Over that same period of time. It's Bitcoin, so nobody knows.
But I mean,
given
if you
the risk-on rally that we've seen,
if you had to venture a guess, I believe you hosted an hour worth of crypto show today. So I mean, what did your guests tell you?
Well, they said there's still interest from institutional investors, and maybe this is retail driven. I mean, look what Strategy did.
What does Tom King call it?
Actually selling some Bitcoin.
BitDog.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see.
How do you follow that?
I will say that the strategy sales that you mentioned, certainly an interesting sign of the times. Haven't seen that for a couple of years.
All right, well, we get the closing bells like here in New York. No bells for Bitcoin, but that is lower on the day, back around that 67,000 level. Meanwhile, for the U.S. equity indices, it looked like most of them are going to finish in the green. You take a look at the NASDAQ on the far right of your screen for our television audience. It's only up about 7 points, but just enough to give it a slight lead on the day. The NASDAQ 100 more meaningfully higher, up by 0.5%. The Dow up by a similar percentage. The S&P 500 closing at a record high, up 10 points or about 0.1%. And the Russell 2000, that's actually your outperformer on the day, relatively speaking, a 26-point gain or about 0.9%.
All right, so back to the big caps. I'm going to go S&P 500. Guys, almost an even split. 258 names, Katie, in that index to the upside. 244 losing ground, and then one unchanged. So, yeah, there you have it.
We actually saw much more good breadth when you take a look at the sector level. Wouldn't necessarily know it by looking at the absolute gain of the S&P 500 today, but utilities higher by about 1.9%. Materials also higher by more than 1%. So too was energy. In terms of what was weighing us down, communication services as a sector down 2.6%. Google does fall into that category. Certainly a big weight on the sector and the index overall. Healthcare, consumer discretionary, and staples also not having a great day.
Just want to bring you some breaking news right now. This on Texas Instruments. We're now learning that the company is going to appoint a new CFO. We're learning that Julie Nett, if I have that name correctly, is going to be joining as CFO of the analog chip maker. That is effective, Carol, on August 1st. The current CEO, Rafael Lizardi, will retire at that time.
All right, good to know. The stock in the aftermarket looks maybe like it was initially maybe a little lower, maybe no movement.
It's down about 2% right now.
Yeah, okay. So good to know there. All right, let's go to some of the individual gainers, if I may, in the trade. I'm going to start with HPE because that was certainly a standout. In fact, it was the #1 gainer in the S&P 500, finishing the day up about 19%. It was up, folks, at its highs, almost 37% in today's session. So soaring by the most ever after the company gave an outlook for annual sales that topped Wall Street estimates. They cited massive growth in AI-fueled demand for its servers and networking. Revenue will increase about 31% in the fiscal year ending in October and about 10% in the year ending in October 2027. These are all estimates that are significantly higher than analyst growth expectations. So just taking a look at the quarter that ended back in April, the company's revenue rose 40% in that quarter to $10.7 billion. Again, that was led by sales of servers, which jumped 33% to $5.5 billion. So that AI trade certainly happening there. Let's go on to Marvell Technology. This was your #1 gainer in the NASDAQ 100. This one, too, up pretty much closing at its best levels of the session, up about 32% today. Soaring, surging to a record after NVIDIA's Jensen Huang predicted the semiconductor and networking company will be the next business to hit a $1 trillion trillion valuation, more than 5 times its current market cap. The valuation, he said, will soar now that the age of, quote, useful AI has arrived. Again, this is Jensen saying this alongside Marvell CEO Matt Murphy. They were at the Computex trade show in Taipei. Keep in mind, NVIDIA does have a stake in Marvell, having taken a $2 billion stake in the company 3 months ago as part of a broader partnership. The stock is up about 233% year to date. And now for something that is not in the tech world, Victoria's Secret, at least not in the tech world yet. The stock is up about 47.5%, the most ever and to the highest ever, soaring after the company beat earnings estimates, and they boosted their outlook, adding to signs of progress for the company's CEO, Hillary Super, who has been executing a turnaround plan. The company did raise its annual net sales guidance to as much as $7.13 billion and reported net sales of about $1.5 billion for the quarter ending May 2nd. So that all exceeded analyst estimates. Stock is up about 276% in the past 12 months alone. So, yeah.
Some of the gainers today. Let's look at some of the decliners. The underperformers, I want to start with shares of Alphabet, the parent company of Google. It's raising $80 billion through a package of equity offerings, including an investment deal with Berkshire Hathaway. Shares fell 3.9% today on that news. The company is going to use the funds to support its goals of AI spending plans, including building infrastructure to develop cutting-edge AI models. CapEx in 2027 expected to be significantly higher than the up to $190 billion it budgeted for 2026. Some estimates suggest they could reach $300 billion next year. Also, looking at shares of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac today, they fell after President Trump appointed Bill Pulte as his acting director of national intelligence. Fannie down 5%, Freddie down 4.5%. The dual appointment sowing doubts that it will delay plans to start selling the government's stake in the two companies. Romaine, I know we got some earnings crossing.
Yeah, Palo Alto Networks rising in the after-hours trade. The company now reporting earnings crossing the wire right now in the third quarter. The company reported adjusted EPS of 85 cents a share. That's a beat. The street was looking for 79 cents. Revenue was up 31% to $3 billion. That's a slight beat. Here's your forecast. This is for the fiscal fourth quarter, the current quarter that we're in. The company says look for adjusted EPS of 96 to 98 cents a share. The low end of that range is 2 cents higher than what the street was looking for. And it says on the revenue side, 3.35 to 3.36 billion. Again, the low end of that range above the average of analyst estimates. And you see the knee-jerk reaction there on your screen, up about 8 to 9%.
Absolutely. Yeah, the stock is soaring after hours, and expectations were high heading into this one. You think about Palo Alto Networks, higher by 61% on a total return basis year to date, heading into today's close. But there's a lot of excitement around cybersecurity names, how they basically fit into this AI landscape that we're seeing, especially as enterprise AI takes off and you have AI agents multiplying here. And you can see that some of these results that we're getting from Palo Alto certainly justify that bullishness, at least at first blush.
Yeah, with AI comes needs for security, right? And so in the press release, the company's chairman and CEO, is saying the third quarter was a standout quarter for the company with accelerating organic bookings growth as customers turn to us to secure their AI deployments at scale. They say the latest advancements at the AI frontier have increased the level of urgency around cybersecurity and redefined the shape of the industry for the coming year. So yeah, a lot of enthusiasm for a stock, Tim, that's already up 61% year to date, another almost 12% bump in the aftermarket.
All right, well, another stock that's reporting, another company reporting, is Ulta Beauty. Looking at what's happening to Ulta in the after hours, shares up about 4%. The company sees fiscal year operating income growth between 6.5% and 9%. They saw 6 to 9%. Ulta Beauty still sees fiscal year net sales growth 6 to 7%. Sees fiscal year EPS at $28.36 to $28.80. That's ahead of estimates that were $28.05 to $28.55. So a little changing of its fiscal year earnings per share guidance. Ulta still sees fiscal year comp sales 2.5% to 3.5%. The estimate was for 3.5%. Still shares up 4.7% in the after hours.
And let's talk a little bit about GitLab as well. Those results crossing the wire in terms of the first quarter adjusted EPS, slightly beating expectations, coming in at 23 cents. The estimate had been for 21 cents. First quarter revenue, you're also seeing a beat there. In terms of the look forward, when it comes to full year revenue, actually narrowing their forecasts a little bit. They see full year revenue coming in between $1.11 billion to $1.12 billion. Previously, they had seen $1.1 billion to $1.12 billion. So again, narrowing their forecast slightly. You can see the shares currently higher by about 11% after hours.
Yep, and you continue to see Palo Alto Networks. It is up about 11, 12% here in the aftermarket following its earnings.